Well, yesterday I started on making a practice baby butt corner, and my friend Dave Turner sent me a picture of one that he had done, and then here's another one that I got off the internet, and he had another one here, and they're really hard to see on the drawing that, or the picture that I got from the book, but I did have a drawing of one that I have here with some dimensions on it, and I used that as a template on the first one that I did. So what we have here is a mess. This is actually the second one I started doing, cutting it out with the carving chisels, and the poplar is real soft, and so that attributes somewhat to the problem. This is the first one I did. I just cut it out the wrong direction. The third one that I did was over here, and again it was I think if I had worked at it I might have been able to get this one to work, but again the poplar is so soft that it's really hard to carve in there. So I started over again today, and so this is where we're at, and this one is probably acceptable. Here, what's hard for me is to take a flat picture and turn it into a three-dimensional, and I had no figure to copy from, but the curve's right. This goes in here, of course, and it follows it into there, the same width on this side. It could be maybe a little bit. Then this slopes down as it does. It should follow that curve all the way around here, and then there's a 1/4-inch bead round over on the bottom there, so it's coming. But I'm going to do another one, only this time out of the African mahogany, and maybe it'll carve a little better. So I'm making another one now out of African mahogany, and I couldn't find this documented anywhere on the internet or in my books, but here goes. So what I did is I set it back an inch here, and this is a 1-inch diameter circle or 1/2-inch radius, and so it goes from this point to that point. Of course, this diagonal here is a little longer, but those are the important dimensions. So then on this side I did something similar, and these are 1/2-inch diameter circles or a 1/4-inch radius, and they're set back a 1/2 inch from this corner. And now I'm going to saw out the bottom with a jigsaw because that side's flat, and that'll give me the beginning of the curves here. So that's the next step. So here it is cut out, so you can see that I just followed the line on the bottom there, and this is the shape that you get up on top. So this is the start, and of course this has to be rounded over down, and of course it goes in, and this whole thing has to be carved in here. So that's where we'll begin carving. I'll set in or cut along these two top circles here so that I don't bump them and change the shape. So that's where we'll start. Starting in the center and then beginning to round over in each direction. I did set in the two curves there with a number 5 chisel. With a 1/2-inch 3, I've started to take the material out in here, so I'm working down across the grain, being careful. So I had started rounding in here, and I lowered that. This doesn't look like it's sloped right, but so now I'm bringing this down because these slope this way down there as well, so maybe it'll come out all right, but I'm bringing this down now with a 1/2 inch 3. So I've been working down with a straight chisel now, coming down this way, creating a cove as I go, and then trying to round it at the same time. And these have to come down further, both of them. So that's what we're aiming for, and it's getting pretty tricky. So working down with a little smaller than a 1/2 inch chisel now. I'm beginning to get this cove, because it has to run around the corner here, so it has to be continuous. And I brought this down a little bit more, but it needs to come down a little further. The opening between the butt here is getting a little wider, as it should, as we start to come up with its final shape. So it's coming along, but it's a slow process. At this point, I'm going to turn it over and add the quarter round over on the bottom, which of course was lost when I saw the pattern from the bottom. I traced a 7/8 inch circle on there so that it gives me an idea where the 1/4 inch round over should be. I added the 1/4 inch round over at this point to the bottom, or nearly as good as I could. So now I'm filing the one corner there to smooth it over a little bit. I'm trying to see, since it's a curve there, trying to follow the main curve around the corner. But it's coming along. This goes in there a little bit, and that's probably because I slanted the number 5 when I came around that corner, but this one would pass, but we'll have to watch that we don't do that again when I do another one. But it's coming along. This curve here has to go around the corner, and of course it's a hollow, so we have to hollow it out as it goes around. Right now it needs to be a little deeper right in here as it goes around that corner, so we'll work on that. Well, I'm getting close to being done with this one. I've been using various files here to round over. I've also been using a number 3 to cut it. This is end grain right here, and so it's hard to go with the grain to come around there. But what I think you want it to look like is that this curve here goes around and then in, and likewise on this side it needs to follow it and go around into it. So what I'm trying to do is maintain that shape as it goes around there, and I've been using this file here to follow it around. And as you saw in the earlier, it has to come down to follow this OG curve there, and then of course you have a 1/4 inch round over on the bottom that comes up to meet it. So you know, as it goes around this curve, it has to go down, and likewise follow this curve as it goes around here. So I've been using this half round, fits that pretty well, and then I have a real fine chisel here, or a file that I use to clean up the carving bumps and so forth, but no sandpaper, because I will, of course, later if I were going to finish this piece, but this is still practice. And there's a couple of bumps right here that need to come out. And then just rounding that over and cleaning up the bumps. But that's pretty good. We need to ease it into the curve there a little bit. There's a bump on the corner, but otherwise it looks pretty good. So I think we're going to get ready to do a good piece of mahogany. So I've got the top.